Hi, I'm Dan Lagani, the CEO and co-founder of Silver Solutions, and welcome to our new video series, Age-Wise. You know, as a company on an ongoing basis, we take great pride in helping older adults grow older safer and in an easier, less stressful way through making the physical surroundings that they live in better. But with Age-Wise, we move into a whole different realm of education and information and entertainment. And we'll be covering a series of some of the most interesting personalities in and around the elder care space, as well as just everyday people who've got great stories to tell that help make us better and smarter about everything we need to know to get older in the easiest way possible. Today, our inaugural guest is Scott Greenberg, the CEO of ComForCare Home Services of Palm Beach County. Scott is a fascinating individual. He's also an author and radio host of a show called Oh My God, I'm Getting Older and So Is My Mom. The book is filled with wonderful topics, some of which we'll cover on today. And lastly, Scott's credentials also include being the president of the Florida State Guardianship Association, the treasurer of the National Guardianship Association. He's also a certified Alzheimer's educator. Scott Greenberg, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's exciting to be your first guest.
Scott, your experiences cover so many different facets of the home care industry, and hopefully we're going to cover many of them today. But let's start very basic. What exactly is home care?
So the proper terminology for what we do is we are a non-medical, private duty home health care agency. We provide people with help with things like activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, transferring, ambulation, continence care. We help people with instrumental activities of daily living, which would be light housekeeping, meal preparation, running errands, taking people to the doctor. We're non-medical in nature. That is home care.
Really terrific stuff. And it leads to the next question, and that is, how do you know when it's the right time for home care for you or a loved one?
There's a couple of elements at play here. One, let's be realistic. The generation we're talking about, fiercely independent. I'm fine, I'm okay, leave me alone. I can do it myself. I've always done it myself. I'll be okay. And maybe not. All right. So there are four elements to caregiving that are critical. The first being safety and security. Is there a risk? If there's a risk involved here, then that's the first sign that somebody may, in fact, need some help. Are we having trouble with activities of daily living? I can't tell you how often I go into somebody's home and I ask them when the last time they showered, and they say, I'm not sweating that much anymore, right? I don't do much. Or they get lost when they're driving. There are telltale signs, or you come and visit and in the refrigerator is expired milk and dairy and other product, or everybody's just eating cereal these days because the packages are too heavy to get home with the cans in them. So there are a lot of telltale signs. The difference between home health and home care: home health is ordered by a doctor. Home care is optional. You can do it when and if you want.
The process of choosing the right home care agency is critical. And if I were to ask you one thing, it would be, what's the single most important question for anyone interviewing a home care agency to ask that potential provider?
Well, that's a great question. There are quite a few questions I would ask. I think hiring process is really important. How do you hire? What process do you go through? What are the certifications? But more importantly, who's involved? Who's running the company? The truth of the matter is that home care aides, they come and go. It's a very transient space. So you want to be able to deal with an agency that has both longevity and management continuity, so that you know that you can always talk to the people who make things happen or fix things if they go wrong.
Scott, let's move on to a different topic now, and that's something near and dear to your heart. Your book, Oh My God, I'm Getting Older and So Is My Mom. It's also the name of the radio show that you do every week. What was the impetus to write the book?
the book grew out of the radio show. I got a call one day from a woman who was listening to a show that happened to have been on strokes. And she was so enthralled with the show that she didn't have a radio in her house. She got home and she sat in her car, in her garage during the commercial, went to get a glass of wine, came back. Next morning she called, asked if I had ever thought of writing a book, and she was a publisher. So that is the genesis of how that started. But I thought when I wrote the book that was most important to me was to focus on the need for preparation. All too often, people make decisions in a moment of crisis. And when they make that decision in a moment of crisis, they invariably make a decision that they would have done something different had they thought about it beforehand.
One of my favorite chapters' title is The Talk. Tell us exactly what The Talk is, Scott.
The Talk is, there's a subtle change. Mom's always been mom, you've always been child. And any attempt at you becoming mom to mom is never met with wide open arms and an open mind. So you have to figure out how to instigate that conversation. And typically it's event driven. And so something has happened, or you notice something on your next visit, and suddenly it's time to have that talk.
So let's shift topics now onto something completely different. Let's talk about guardianship. I know you're the current treasurer of the National Guardianship Association. What is guardianship, and what should everybody know about it?
In full disclosure, I am still, you're right, treasurer of both the National Guardianship and the Florida State Guardianship. I've been involved in guardianship for a long time. I think guardians deserve a special place in this continuum and the conversation that we rarely talk about. That said, the last thing in the world you want to do is need a guardian. Certainly a professional guardian. So professional guardians, which is the space I travel in, typically become involved when someone loses their ability, their capacity to make decisions for themselves and not harm themselves. So you have to be incapacitated to have a guardian appointed. A professional guardian gets appointed when no one else will step in. And that may be because there is no one else. That may be because the family is so dysfunctional, and frankly, that happens all the time. Or there is nobody close enough that can do it. They may be around the country, around the world, and you need somebody to oversee the best interest of the incapacitated person.
A really helpful look, and I particularly appreciated the comments on preparation and the things that you can do to avoid it. You made the comment earlier that one of the things that we deal with so frequently with all the facets of aging is a failure to plan appropriately. So really helpful insights. The interesting thing about your company, ComForCare Home Services of Palm Beach, is you have another dynamic there too, which is that you have family members involved in the business, which kind of mirrors how much we all deal with the aging process, because it's most intimate and most directly connected to us when it's family. Talk about the idea of how you got into the business and what drove the decisions to bring family into the business with you.
We're uniquely blessed in the fact that we are a family business helping families take care of family. And I think that while that's a catchy marketing phrase, the reality is it's true, because we are able to bring a degree of expertise, constancy, continuity to everything that we do here. We have a dog in the hunt over every issue. We specialize or spend a great deal of time analyzing how we can be better. We push ourselves to improve. And then more importantly, we have each other's backs. And during challenging times, that can be very important as well. So there's always backup. You can always reach an owner in our business. Everybody brings something meaningful and important to the equation. And I think it makes for a better experience on the customer side. And plus, for me, I'm very blessed. I get to see my family with my grandchildren, and it's very special. So it's exciting.
It sure sounds like you've done it the right way. But before we go, tell anyone in the Palm Beach County area how they can get in touch with you at ComForCare.
So our office phone number is 561-630-1620. Our website is palmbeach.comforcare, ComForCare. People always want to put a T in there. Don't do that. You won't find us. ComForCare is ComForCare.com. You can email me at sgreenberg@comforcare.com, and call us. We answer our phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, live.
Before we go, one last question. In your view, even if it's something we've already covered, what is the single most important question that anybody trying to make the process of growing older for a loved one or themselves easier and better? What's the most important question for anybody to focus on?
So I think if I could give anybody a piece of advice, it's be proactive, it's be preparatory, it's anticipate, and it's accept help if you're one of the seniors watching this.
Well, Scott Greenberg, CEO of ComForCare Home Services of Palm Beach County, thank you so much for joining us today for this inaugural episode of AgeWise. But really, again, just an enjoyable conversation, and I appreciate all the information and all the great background that you gave us here at AgeWise. Thanks again, and that's a wrap. I'm Dan Lagani with Silver Solutions. Thanks for joining us.